Hi guys, welcome to Stitches and Stories. It's so great to see all you beautiful souls. You're just so stinking cute, every single one of you. So we are going to knit a little on this cowl, C-O-L, nope, C-O-W-L. I can spell, I promise. We're gonna knit a little on this. I'm gonna have to go get more yarn to finish this project. It's loosely based off a design I saw for an Ewok hood, but I'm tweaking it, and I'm gonna put wolf ears on it for my niece. And so I'm gonna work a little on this. I'm using a basic acrylic yarn and a blue, gold, and white eyelash yarn is what I'm using, and then I'm just using a lifeline needle set. I can't tell you what size this is. Okay, I really think it's 9, but I could be wrong. I have 2 of this needle. 9 tends to be my favorite stitch size, so it could be that one. But it doesn't have a number on it, and I picked it up a while ago, so I'm not sure. So we're gonna knit a little and we're gonna talk because it's been forever. I took a intentional month-long break, and you're like, Ashes, that makes no sense. How do you do that? So I knew I was going to take a break because, first of all, I got bronchitis for 2 weeks straight, and it took the doctor ages to figure out what was wrong with me because being chronically ill, I go in, and the first thing they're like, you're not really sick. You're not actually sick. And then they give me steroids and crap, and it's not ever the right thing. And so then I end up going back when it's worse and on the brink of like turning into pneumonia or something. And then they give me what I actually need. And yeah, so it was a whole ordeal. And then after that, the guy I was dating and came up and was supposed to be up here for a week, and I broke up with him. And then my car decided, well, we finally got into the shop to see what was wrong with it, and it turns out that the engine locked up, and to fix it, we'd have to completely rebuild it. So I just junked it and sold it for a couple $100 to get rid of it, so it's not sitting here. And then I busted my knee, and then I lost my job, and it has been quite the adventure. So I took an accidental month off, but it was also kind of on purpose because of the fact that I had thought about getting on here and recording videos for you all, but I just wasn't in the right headspace and I wasn't in the right mood, and so I did not do it. So I'm back anyway. So welcome back to Stitches and Stories on Sunday, and it is Sunday, and if you are new here, most Sundays I post a Stitches and Stories video where we knit and read it, review a book. And the reason we knit is because I need something to do with my hands, and this yarn is, what the heck? There we go. I need something to do with my hands while I talk, so we do this. So, if you have been watching my other series, the Diamonds and Details, it's going to be canceled. I'm deleting that series. We're going to redo it, and it's going to be something else, and I'm going to handle it a different way. I just was not pleased with how it turned out. Alright, so today, we are going to talk about, if my records are correct, because I apparently also forgot to mark everything off. I usually put a little dot next to them saying we reviewed them, so I'm just going to hope that my bookmarks are in the right place. And today we are reviewing I Survived the Battle of D-Day 1944. Or 49. I'm pretty sure that's 44. Can't read my own handwriting. Okay, so this book is by Lauren Tarshis, Tarshis. I will link the book below in the description if you guys want to look it up. I read this in audiobook. I've been a huge audiobook reader lately. I used to be paperback only, and then I slowly moved to Kindle, and now I just really love audiobooks. I can knit and do lots of things while I read, color, and all that stuff. I started this book on February 25th, and I finished it March 3rd. It is fiction. It's 144 pages, and it gets a really good review. I'm going to tell you that. So it takes place in France. When we think of World War II, we usually think of Germany, right? World War II, World War I, the first things that come to mind are Germany, at least in America. The first things that come to mind are Germany and Japan. We think about the Holocaust, we think about the bombing of Pearl Harbor, all right? But my favorite stories about these wars actually come from France. Um, France was occupied by Germany for a while during one of the wars. Which war was the Holocaust on? Why am I blanking on this, guys? Will this stay recording if I hop over to the internet real fast? Let's see. Let's see here. Holocaust. World War. It says 2. So I had it right. It's World War II. Okay, so in World War II, during the Holocaust, is when this takes place. And France is occupied by German soldiers. Um, some of my favorite stories about this time period come from the France side. The Sarah's Key, that one is a good book. It about this time period. It did make me sick. It is the first book in my entire life that made me physically ill, and I actually vomited. It's about a little girl who survives the Holocaust, and there's a lot. There's gruesome stuff that's not like gruesome in it, but it's gruesome. Like there's descriptions of lice crawling in her eyebrows, and then there's the description of what happens when she finds her brother dead and what he looks like, which isn't really a spoiler because at the beginning of the book, because of her actions, you know they're gonna find him dead. She's a little girl though, and she's trying to save him. She doesn't think about the fact that she just locked him in a cupboard from the outside that no one knows about. So yeah. But anyway, so there's that one that I like from this era, and then I like the movie Fury that takes place in France during this era. I believe Fly Boys also has a scene in France, but the German occupation of France is one of my favorite historical eras to read about, and I don't know why. I like I like it. I like how I guess probably because I like how America's portrayed as the heroes in it. It's kind of like a knight concept almost. And those ones were not like going after revenge or anything. We're there to stop an occupation. We're there to help people. And so that's probably why. But this one takes place in France and it is focuses on an 11-year-old son of a soldier. The soldier is a prisoner of war. He has gone missing. They know he's been captured, but they don't know where he is at. His best friend's family is Jewish, and he saw them be taken away by the Nazis and was hurt by that. His teacher was killed by Nazis for being part of the resistance. And so this boy has seen a lot of stuff, all right? And it has themes of helplessness. Like, he's 11 years old, and he's seen his country be taken over. He's seen his friends and family get killed and captured and all this stuff. And he wants to help, but he's 11. He's a child and he doesn't know what to do. And so he takes his prize soccer ball and he goes and sells it so that he can get his mom a treat for her birthday because he just wants to do something nice. But it actually got my heart pounding. Most I Survive books, you go in and you know that the character's going to survive because that's the whole point of the series. It's exploring historical eras with a character that does survive it, and it's meant for children. It's juvenile historical fiction. And so you go in automatically knowing that your main character is not going to die. But this one actually got my heart racing to the point where I was actually concerned about his well being, all right? Um, it really focuses on the fact that war knows no age limit, that war itself affects everyone no matter their age. If you've been listening to the news or watching the news with the Ukraine and Russia situation and the Palestine and Israel situation, you really can see this affect them. I read an article the other day about um, a woman who was on her way to the hospital to give birth, and she was killed on her way to the hospital and her baby was delivered right there as she was dying in critical condition. And I mean, that baby entered the world into war. It's an innocent soul. It didn't deserve anything it's getting. Its mother didn't deserve it, but they both have to face it. And this really focuses on how war impacts everyone, the innocent, the guilty, the young, the old. it impacts everyone. There is a American soldier in here. The person who did the reading of this book, actually, the narrator, I wish I had written down his name because he did a really good job, guys. Uh, I'm not a fan of American accents, and I know that sounds weird. So, if you're not from America, or even if you are, you might not know this. America does have an actual accent, and it is taught to our actors, and it's taught because that way we can all understand what they're saying. However, everywhere in America has a different accent. People from Texas sound way different from people from Minnesota. People from Colorado sound different from Nebraska. Okay, we all have our own little accents here because we are a country of immigrants, and because of that, we are literally a melting pot. All of the accents have come together and melded together to create these different zones where they exist. And so, usually, when I read books and there's an American, uh, when I read books by foreign narrators and there's an American character, they get the accent wrong. Agatha Christie books, I love them, and I love listening to them in audiobook because the narrator for her books does an amazing job with the German and French and English accents. However, every single one of his American characters sounds like a gangster from New York. That's not what America sounds like. That's just one little spot of America. That's not even an accent. The person who narrated this book gave the American soldier the accent that we use here on television. It's your good old boy, very articulated accent. It's not polluted, is what I want to say. It's not full of slang. Everything is said clearly, but I think it's called something Atlantic, honestly, is the name of our accent, and that's what it uses. I'm going to also Google that, guys, because I want to know, and I know it's something Atlantic, so hold your horses for a second while I switch over to my other screen here and Google the name of the American. What? There's a thing about American Hogwarts houses? I don't know anything about that. Oh yeah, our language is General American English. It is something Atlantic. Where is it? Transatlantic. It's the transatlantic accent, also known as the mid-Atlantic accent. Um, it is basically the blending of British English and American English, is what it is. And so that's our actual accent. Oddly enough, you don't hear most people speak it, but that's just because of our upbringings and our different cultures and stuff. You do hear it a lot in politics when you watch political rallies and stuff. You do hear it there. But the narrator of this book used that accent, so his American soldier, the American soldier in here, didn't come off as a mob boss, which I was very happy about because the two things that frustrate me in audiobooks, and I love audiobooks as I've said, but the two things that frustrate me is when all Americans are mob bosses and um, boys do terrible girl accents. Likewise, when girls do terrible boy accents. I was reading a. I honestly think it might have been an Ali Hazelwood book the other day. I think it. I don't remember. I was listening to a book the other day, and I think it was Ali Hazelwood. I think it was Bride, but I could be wrong. So don't quote me on that. The boy in it switched to his term, and he was doing a great job explaining the boy's point of view. And then the girl said something, and he stopped talking like normal, and he went like, "Oh my god, like what am I supposed to do?" And his voice was like way too high, way too noisily, and noisily. That's not what I meant. Nasally, and it made the character come off as really stuck up and snobbish when she wasn't. And so, I mean, it's important to find the right narrators, and the narrator of this book did an amazing job. So I do highly recommend this, and I believe he narrates, if not all, most of the I Survived books. He's narrated every one I've read so far, and so he does amazing. What do you think of this book? What will you take away from it? This one got my heart pounding. I loved it. I was legitly worried about all the characters in it. What was the aim of this book, and how well did the author fulfill it? I really, the name of this book was to teach kids about the invasion of Normandy, because it literally ends with the storming Normandy beach. That's when it ends. Um, well, not really. There's a little bit after that because it pulls a typical romance book move, not usually a historical fiction move, but it pulls one in time jumps to when the kid is an adult. And so there is a little bit after that, but it focuses primarily on the storming of that beach. Um, would you recommend this book to others? Yes, third grade and up, I would say. Just because it is a little bit more graphic than the other I Survived. Okay, there's cannons. I think there's something that they're shooting at the water. It's a type of cannon. I think it's like a military missile or something that they blow up with C4. And then one sentence review, a heart-pounding tale about survival and heroism in Nazi France. So as for our review, I gave it 5-star for characters, 5-star for writing, 5-star for enjoyment, 5-star for setting, 5-star for readability, and 5-star for plot. This was my ultimate favorite I Survived book so far. And it is obviously here 5 stars because that's how our thing works. And so that is today's review. This Sunday's. Next Sunday, as long as I don't forget to pre-record and schedule, we'll be talking about not that book. I haven't finished that book yet. Been reading that book for been reading that book for 2 months. I switched though. I was reading it in paperback and then I decided I wanted to read it in Kindle, and so I went and bought the Kindle and I just haven't finished it yet. Okay. So the next book we'll review is actually Stay Sexy and Don't Get Murdered, and it is by Georgia Hardstork and Karen Killigraft. So if you want to read that, you can. I read it for a Goodreads challenge for Women's History Month. If you are doing the Goodreads challenges, the new ones are up for May through June, and it took me forever to pick a book for the Heritage Challenge. The other ones are really simple. It's like finish 2 books before June 31st, finish 4 books before June 31st. Okay, those ones are easy, but there's one where you have to read a book about heritage, and it's from a list, and I went through the whole list and spent over an hour the other day trying to decide which book I wanted to read. A lot of it is Asian heritage, and so there's nothing wrong with Asian heritage, and there's nothing wrong with Asian literature. I myself am not a huge fan of it. My brother is. My brother likes samurais and ninjas and all that stuff, and shinobis, and but my favorite Asian story is Mulan. So I mean, so I actually kind of stayed away from that, and I went with one that is based off of one of my favorite classical books. I'm going with one that is a retelling of sorts of The Great Gatsby. And so we're gonna go with that. Okay, you can go to the bathroom. You did not see her face. She doesn't exist. You didn't see anything. Go on up. That's no one. That's just a little ghost that lives in the house. Okay? Ignore her. Her mom doesn't even know she was on here. Katie, I'm sorry. She just walked into the camera. Anyway, so that's the story for this week. And so we will be doing Stay Sexy, Don't Get Murdered next Sunday. And I hope to see you all there. And I will hopefully start our new series that is taking place of Details and Diamonds soon. It is going to be called Makeup and Manuscripts. And I'm going to do my makeup while we talk about books. And so I hope you all have a great Sunday and a great rest of your week. And that life just treats you well and that you have amazing luck because every single one of you deserve it and you are a special person and I love you all. Goodbye, sis.